And I see that sometimes on stage for contestants when they try to force certain facials when they should really just lean into the ones that they're great at. Thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this episode. My name is Dani Walker, and this is the first time I've recapped a Miss USA state pageant. I'm going to share some highlights as well as my favorite performances, and don't forget to stick around till the end because I'm going to give some final thoughts about our new Miss New York USA. If you're a new subscriber, please feel free to drop a comment below. I would love to hear from you, and also hit that notifications bell so you know when new episodes like this one come out every week. First, let's talk about the staging of this show. I've seen some clips online of it, and they always seem to have some sort of runway. I'm a really big fan of that. I just think it's such a great view to see of the contestants on stage. I just love those long runways. For the opening number, the contestants wore either black or a metallic opening number dress, which they picked out themselves. I do wish we saw some more consistency there, but it's so hard to get sponsors for state pageants to dress all of the contestants and have a more cohesive look. For a final show, I do think this pageant was a little bit long. It was about 2 hours and 45 minutes. I think that we could probably shave that down to about 2 hours. They also did an intermission, and you don't always need time for an intermission if you use a program or a software like Tally Genie that'll come up with your next group of semifinalists like that, which I'm a really big fan of. So there's that part of the show. They decided to do a top 21. I'm really not surprised by that because New York is a very popular state for USA state pageants, and they have really high numbers of contestants. So typically, if you have more contestants, you're gonna have a larger group of semifinalists. After they announced the top 21, they all competed in swim, and I really like that they had a fan at the end of a runway. I just think it's such a nice effect, and honestly, it never gets old. I'm a fan of fans. I had a few personal favorites for swim, but I'm gonna share about them in no particular order just because I wanna keep things a little bit interesting, keep you on your toes. Christiana did a pretty good job for swim. I did think though that her facials came off as a little bit teen. I don't know what it was about it. Maybe she just looks a little bit younger on the end of the runway. I'm not really sure. What are your thoughts? Najina, love this. Once again, we're seeing just another really consistent, solid performance, but what I liked about hers specifically is that she looked very relaxed. Maxine did a great job for swim personally. I think she was right in the middle of the road though, so depending on how her interview went, I think that's what really swayed the judges one way or another about her swim score. I have to say that this year's group of contestants made watching the swimsuit competition really enjoyable. Usually gown is my favorite area of competition, but they did such a great job that this was very, very fun to watch. But let me know what your favorite area of competition is in the comments. Tony's routine, very simple. She was so cute though. I feel like that's the best way to describe her energy on stage. You just look at her and you're like, oh, you were just so cute. And I love that because she just has this really genuine smile, and I like that she leaned into that instead of trying to be something that she's not. And I see that sometimes on stage for contestants when they try to force certain facials when they should really just lean into the ones that they're great at. Andrea? She did such a great job. This was a very sexy performance, but I really liked her eye contact with the judges. Great job. Heather in swim, this is where I noticed her. This was it. Her routine was very simple, but it was clean and she was confident and not trying too hard. It was just perfect. Chef's kiss, right to the point. Tiffany's swim walk, it really stood out. I don't think just for the walk, but because of her confidence. You could just feel that from her. You could feel that she was feeling herself. Marisa did a great job. This was a solid performance for me. This was an easy pass to the next round. And I have to say her hair looked fabulous in that wind. Michelle Leone, who by the way represented the United States at Miss Grand International and placed top 5 there, she competed here, and she fell out of her spin turn, but I think that what saved her was her pose at the end of the runway. She really nailed that and the audience cheered a lot for her. Zoe McGrady had a great example of doing just enough to advance. She was not rushed and she had a very, very clean performance, but there wasn't anything over the top about it. For example, like a Catriona lava walk. Jasmine had great eye contact, especially at the end of the runway. I just wish she would have smiled a little bit more. Before we get into gown, I'm just gonna say that I know it's not quite yet time for Miss USA episodes because we haven't crowned all of our Miss USA state title holders, but we are gearing up for Miss Universe already. I know it's a little bit early. And if you love gown competitions, then go check out this other recent episode because I was very impressed by the contestants' performances at Miss Universe Cambodia for their preliminary gown competition. You have to see it. For gown, I had a favorite top 6 actually, even though they narrowed to a 5, but I'm gonna share with you my 6 anyways. Marisa, first of all, loved this. I think that her evening gown performance though would be even more of a standout if she focused on elongating her steps and just soaking up the moment a little bit more. Also, I didn't think that this gown was the best choice for her for competition. The hem seemed to be a little bit short and the shade of yellow really didn't pop on her. It was in the middle and I felt like, at least from what it looked like on camera, that it was washing her out a little bit. Najina, I loved her presence. I loved her presence on stage. I loved the straight walk out. I think though what affected her score here was that ending pose and this pivot that she did. It needed to be smoothed out a little bit more for it to have this impact on stage. And unfortunately, that's the last impression that the judges have of her. So that's why I think it affected the score. Michelle's gown, I must say, very, very beautiful. It reminds me of this one designer, Angel. I cannot remember the rest of the name right now. I'm guessing it's one of his gowns. I'm not positive, but it looked gorgeous on stage. Honestly, you could wear a gown like that to Miss Universe and she would still stand out. I thought that this was good. The walk itself was good. The initial pose, good. But then at the very end, I wish she just would have relaxed her neck a little bit more as she was pivoting around. That was my one little critique for it. Zoe was great because she took her time. You could just see that she was living in the moment, loving it. One adjustment I would say is just really make sure that that chest is raised. I feel like that makes such a difference, especially for gown performances when you're walking so slow and we can see everything. Heather, very great hip movement for her evening gown walk. And when I think of queens with great movement and great swaying, I think of Harnaz, our current Miss Universe. So I was kind of just visualizing that a little bit, but the gown looked really beautiful on her. It fitted her so well. It was very smooth and she didn't do more than she had to. Nothing was over the top here. Toni, great. Once again, I just really like her sincerity when she steps out on stage, but I did notice a bit of a bounce in the walk. It was very subtle, but you could see this level change every single time that she took a step. And so personally, I would have worked on smoothing that out, especially if she can compete again. Before we talk about the top 5, I'm going to share with you a little bit about the sponsor of today's episode, which is Skillshare. Now, if you've never heard of Skillshare, it's a place that offers thousands of online classes. People like myself and many others go there for things like personal growth, leveling up your skills for your business, which is what I go there for, self-care, and so much more. For years, I've had Photoshop, but I've never learned how to use it. I was never able to find the right tutorials, or I would find these really in-depth courses that honestly were just over my head and overwhelming and too time consuming. But recently I found a course by Kat Cocolette called Learn Adobe Photoshop Fundamentals for Getting Started, and it has been so easy and it is giving me so much confidence when it comes to Photoshop. I think the best part about Skillshare is that it is ad-free and you can learn uninterrupted. There's premium classes launched every single week, and it's amazing that their entire catalog is offered in subtitles for French, Spanish, Portuguese, and even German. I love learning on Skillshare, and if you'd like to check it out, the first 1,000 people that click the link in my description will get a 1-month free trial. If you're a lifelong learner like me, I think you'll love Skillshare too. Next, it's time for the top 5 question and answer. Each of the contestants randomly drew a question, and then they got a second question after that, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Marisa was asked, what changes would you like to see for women in the next 10 years? She said, as a first-generation Filipina and a woman in tech, I'd like to see more women in STEM as technology advances. Toni was asked, should social media influence your decision-making process? And she said, I don't believe it should. When you know yourself, you should be able to make your own decisions by following your heart. Heather was asked to name an influential female that impacted her life. She said, "I'm honored to say it's my friend Natalia. She passed away from bone cancer. Seeing her push through motivated me to always push forward and do my best, and I'm here to encourage other women to always push forward and be the best version of themselves." Michelle was asked, "Are you proud of your generation?" And she said, "I like to think that I come from two generations, millennials and Gen Z. Working in media, I see our impact that we have on our generation. I know I can be the voice of our generation, creating change, especially on the Miss USA platform." I think that this could have been a great answer, but I think it sounded a little bit pre-packaged, like she was ready to say, and here's what I want to do on that Miss USA stage, and I think she didn't need to reference that in this answer. Zoe was asked, "Do you have a motto or a quote that inspires your life?" She shared her dad's favorite quote, which was, "Always do your best because you never know when your best is better than everyone else's." And then she said that, "I think it's important to always keep hope, to remain confident, and to put in the hard work. And if you do that, then you can achieve whatever you want to achieve." Then for the second question, they put headphones on everyone and they all got asked the same question, which I really liked. I thought it was fun. What makes New York iconic was the question. But I will say that after I heard their initial answers for the first set of questions, that I was done, that I could have scored it at that point. I didn't feel like the answers for this second segment did much to change my own opinions if I were a judge. Marisa said that it's her favorite state and it's the hub of creativity and diversity. That's what makes it iconic. Tony said that it is the land of opportunity. She came from a small town in Indiana and she's grateful for the opportunities that she has in New York. Heather also said it's the opportunity that makes it iconic. She is from the Dominican Republic and she saw how hard it was for many people in other countries to succeed. And when she sees New York, she sees opportunity and ambition. Michelle talked about being Ecuadorian American and she says she loves the city and state. She believes that she can relate to everyone here. She likes New York because it's inspiring that we're all united. And then she talked about we are New York strong. And then Zoe said it's the American dream. We have people of every background here all in one place and they're all reaching for their dreams, and it inspires me and I hope to be an inspiration to others. Those were essentially the questions and answers. Let me know what you thought about them in the comments below. Then our results were as follows. Tony was fourth runner-up. Third runner-up was Marisa. Michelle was second runner-up, Zoe was first runner-up, and Heather was the winner. Congratulations to Heather. So for me, when I looked at the top five, I honestly didn't feel like any of the questions that were asked were real defining moments for me. I felt that everybody was pretty much on a level playing field. There wasn't anybody that was stumbling through the onstage question, and then there also wasn't an iconic answer, in my opinion, from this group and during this year at the competition. I thought Heather was great. I think that she looks beautiful. I think that she does a really great job maintaining her poise and composure. But I think at the national level, that's where things change. Pretty is not nearly enough. And you really have to have those communication skills. I think that she did a great job with her onstage question, but I also didn't think that these questions were especially challenging, especially in comparison to questions that we hear at Miss USA. So I really hope that she's gonna be working on her communication skills leading up to Miss USA, as well as incorporating more personality, because that is not something that I saw through her answers when she was answering them, versus the way that we saw personality from Elle at Miss USA this past year, and the way that Elle always is with everyone. And I think to a certain extent, though, that has to be natural. It's natural. I think we all have a bit of personality, like most of us do, right? But it's being able to say, this is my personality and this is what I'm comfortable sharing with people, and I'm fine being my authentic self, and I don't always have to be perfect. And that's what I get from Elle all the time when I follow her on social media. And I'm such a fan, love her so much. She's doing a fantastic job. But those are my thoughts of the overall competition. Please share your thoughts in the comments below, but of course, let's always be supportive of our contestants. Thanks for tuning into this episode. Of course, if you want to watch some other recent ones that are all about our upcoming Miss Universe competition, then you can check those out right here. My most recent are for Miss Cambodia.